We just got all 4 brand new Commander pre-constructed decks for Lost Caverns of Ixalan. So in this video, I'm going to be covering the Dinosaur deck, Veloci-Ramp-Tor. This is a Naya deck focused on casting dinosaurs and then smashing face with dinosaurs. We'll begin with the 10 brand new cards and then cover the reprints and check out the price value of all the reprints as well. But before we begin, 2 quick reminders. First, you can find all these previews over at mtgpreviews.com, and secondly, if you want to pre-order these sweet new cards, you can head on over to our sponsor, cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. Alright, we begin with the face commander of the deck. This is Pentlaza Sunfavored. This is a 5-mana Naya legendary creature dinosaur. It's a 4/4, and whenever Pentlaza or another dinosaur enters the battlefield under your control, you may discover X, where X is that creature's toughness. You do this only once each turn. Discover is a new keyword to Lost Caverns of Ixalan. It's basically a souped up version of Cascade. It says exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card with that mana value or less. Cast it without paying its mana cost or put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom in a random order. So Pentlaza is a very straightforward commander. All it cares about is casting dinosaurs. Whenever you're casting dinosaurs, you're going to be generating basically card advantage and sometimes mana advantage. Card advantage in that you're going to discover each time you're going to be doing that, so you're going to get a card that either you get to cast immediately, which is mana advantage, or just put into your hand, which is just still card advantage. It's simple and straightforward. It's just a very good stuff commander for your dinosaur deck, and it itself is a dinosaur, so it benefits from dinosaur synergies. Overall, a very solid choice for your dinosaur commander. The secondary commander though is one that I'm personally more excited for. This is Waita, Trainer Prodigy. This is a 3-mana Naya 1/5 legendary creature human warrior. It has haste and it has an activated ability. You pay 2 and a green and tap it. Target creature you control fights another target creature. This ability costs 2 less to activate if it targets 2 creatures you control. And if a creature you control being dealt damage causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So this is kind of like a fight commander. You can use her ability to have your bigger creatures fight your opponent's smaller creatures and take them out, or you could have them fight each other. And why would you fight your own creatures? That seems a little bit silly. Well, dinosaurs actually have a really cool keyword from the previous set and a little bit in this set too. It's the enrage mechanic. Basically, some dinosaurs say whenever they're dealt damage, you get a beneficial trigger. So for example, ranging raptors, whenever it's dealt damage, you get to ramp out a basic land. Silver-clad Ferocidons forces your opponent to sacrifice a creature, and Polyraptor makes a token copy of itself. And while this is a narrow subset of dinosaurs, this is my favorite dinosaur mechanic. I really love the enrage mechanic, and Waita is the perfect commander for the enraged dinosaurs. You can make them fight each other to trigger their enrage, and it doubles up on your enraged triggers. So while she doesn't specifically say she supports dinosaurs in particular, she works really well with this subset of dinosaurs. And yes, it kind of sucks that she herself isn't a dinosaur, so she doesn't benefit from her own dinosaur synergies. However, all things considered, she's a repeatable source of removal in the command zone, and she also doubles up on all your enraged triggers, and she also enables those enraged triggers too. So I'm super pumped about Waita. The next new card to the deck is Dinosaur Egg. This is a 2-mana green 0/3 creature dinosaur egg with evolve. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if that creature has greater power or toughness than this creature, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. And when Dinosaur Egg dies, you may discover X, where X is its toughness. This is a nice early play for the dinosaur deck. Dinosaurs are typically high cost creatures, so it's nice to be able to curve out with smaller dinosaurs as well. This creature evolves, so it scales up over time, and then when it dies, you get to discover, so you get to replace it with hopefully an even better card. Next up, we have Sunfrill Imitator. This is a 3-mana green 3/3 creature dinosaur, and it says whenever it attacks, you may have it become a copy of another target dinosaur you control, except its name is Sunfrill Imitator, and it has this ability. Now this card is another great early drop dinosaur that can scale up as you play your heavy hitters. The fact that it keeps its own name means it can still copy legendary dinosaurs as well. So for example, if you're attacking with a Gishath, you get double the gift shop triggers, and that's super fun. So the better the dinosaurs the imitator can copy, the better this card really becomes. Next, we've got Bronzebeak Foragers. This is a 4 mana white 3/4 creature dinosaur, and it says when it enters the battlefield, for each opponent, exile up to 1 target non-land permanent that player controls until Bronzebeak Foragers leaves the battlefield. And it has an activated ability, X and a white. Put target card with mana value X exiled with Bronzebeak Foragers into its owner's graveyard, you gain X life. So this card is basically a dinosaur version of Grasp of Fate, which is very cool. You get to exile basically 3 things in a 4-player game, which is just good value on a 4-drop. It's also a dinosaur, so it enables dinosaur synergies. It's a 3/4. And then if you want to permanently get rid of something, before the Bronzebeak Forager leaves the battlefield, that is, you can just spend the mana to basically just put the exiled cards directly into the graveyard. You gain some life, and that means when the Foragers leaves the battlefield, the person who has the exiled card that got put into the graveyard doesn't get the card back. So it's temporary removal, but you can spend extra mana to make it permanent removal. And this is just an excellent card for dinosaurs. It's interaction on theme, on synergy. But things get even better with Curious Altasaur. This is a 4 mana green 2/5 creature dinosaur. It has vigilance and reach, and whenever a dinosaur you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So this is just thematic dinosaur card draw on a 2/5 body, which is very respectable. The stats here are amazing. 4 mana for basically a coastal piracy effect, a Toski effect is very good. And then you also have a 2/5 blocker, which is really nice, and it can block flying creatures too. So this is a new staple for dinosaurs. Next, we have Scion of Calamity. This is a 5 mana green 5/5 creature dinosaur with Myriad. So whenever this creature attacks for each opponent other than the defending player, you may create a token that's a copy of this creature that's tapped and attacking that player or planeswalker they control. Exile the tokens at end of combat, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, destroy target artifact or enchantment that player controls. So you attack with Scion, it has Myriad, so you make a token copy to each other opponent that you have. So if you have 3 opponents, you're going to attack one opponent with the Scion, then you have 2 tokens of each attacking 2 other of your opponents. And then when they deal combat damage, you not only deal 5 damage to them, which is nice, but you also get to blow up an artifact or enchantment. It doesn't have trample or any sort of evasion, so it can be chump blocked, but the fact that you're dealing basically the net worth of 15 damage and blowing up to 3 target artifacts and enchantments is just great value for 5 mana, and again, it's a dinosaur, so that's extra bonus for the dinosaur deck. Next up, we have another dinosaur. It's Wrathful Raptors. This is a 5 mana red 5/5 creature dinosaur. It has trample, and whenever a dinosaur you control is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any target that isn't a dinosaur. So this is kind of giving all of your dinosaurs an enrage trigger, where the enrage trigger is just when it takes damage, it deals that much damage to another non-dinosaur target. So this is repeatable removal, and it works really well with like ping effects, and anything that works well with enraged creatures is going to work really well with the raptors and turn that self-damage into straight up removal for your opposing creatures. This card is just absolute gas. And also it makes blocking a very bad prospect for your opponents. Even if they block, that means your creatures are going to still blow up their creatures. So those were all the dinosaur specific cards, but we also have 2 brand new cards that are just good in any sort of creature deck. The first one is Progenitor's Icon. It's a 3 mana colorless artifact, and as it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color, or you can tap it and the next spell of the chosen type you cast this turn can be cast as though it has flash. So this is a manalith that can also work in your creature deck to give your creatures flash. It's a nice little bit of a utility. A 3 mana mana rock is not that great, honestly, unless it's tapping for more than 1 mana, but the ability to just give your stuff flash is very powerful. Is it good enough? I don't know, but it is a sweet card. And the final new card in the Precon is From the Rubble. This is a 6 mana white enchantment that says when it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. At the beginning of your end step, return target creature card of the chosen type from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. And finality counter is a brand new type of counter from Lost Caverns of Ixalan. It says if a creature with a finality counter on it would die, exile it instead. So this is a repeatable source of graveyard reanimation for your creature deck. It is 6 mana, which is a lot, but it does start reanimating the turn you cast it because it will trigger on your first end step. It's especially powerful if the creatures you're going to be reanimating have a high mana value. So in the case of a dinosaur deck where you have a lot of dinos that are 5 or more mana value, then From the Rubble can get a lot of mana advantage out of it. So those were all the brand new cards that are exclusive to the deck, and now we're going to check out the reprints, the rest of the deck. We begin with the most expensive reprints from the deck so far. We have a Chroma's Will, which is a fantastic commander staple. It's creeping up to $20 before this reprint. Apex Altasaur, one of the best dinosaurs and just a great card in general. It's $14 before the reprint. Xenagos, God of Revels, is just a fantastic god and commander even that I personally love. It's $10, and Chandra's Ignition is a $10 board wipe that works really well with dinosaurs because their dinosaurs are very big, so they can kill all your opponent's smaller creatures, and it also deals damage to your other creatures. So if you have enraged dinosaurs, you get to trigger those enraged triggers as well. So already we can see a lot of value in this deck. I am pretty happy with the reprint so far. Now let's check out the rest of the reprints. I'm starting from the lowest mana value to the highest and going from card type to card type. At the low end of mana value, we have a lot of creatures that are very effective ramp in a dinosaur deck. Ixalan's Lorekeeper, Drover of the Mighty, Marauding Raptor, and Otepic Huntmaster are all just fantastic, cheap sources of ramp for dinosaurs. Then we've got Atsokan Seer, which is another nice ramp card. Deathgorge Scavenger, it's a dinosaur that is graveyard hate. Kinjali's Sunwing is a great way to slow down your opponents. Raging Raptors is a great enraged dinosaur that ramps every single time it's dealt damage. Runic Armasaur looks like it's not very good, but trust me, it plays a lot better. Just randomly, your opponents can draw you a ton of cards off this little dinosaur. Thrashing Brontodon, it's a dinosaur, but it also acts as removal. Topiary Stomper, a dinosaur that ramps. Same thing with Wayward Swordtooth, it's also ramping as a dinosaur. Majestic Heliopterus is a dinosaur that has a little bit of utility, it's okay. Raging Regisaur though is very good in an enraged deck. It just deals damage when it attacks and triggers that enrage very safely. Ripjaw Raptor, when it's enraged you draw a card, very nice. Shifting Ceratops, not very good, but it's a cool reprint I guess. Quartzwood Crasher, it's just a big tramply creature and it makes more dinosaurs, you love to see it. Raging Swordtooth, another way to just have a big dinosaur that triggers enrage on your dinosaurs. Regisaur Alpha, just a nice little lord for your dinosaurs, gives all of them haste. Temple Altasaur is a dinosaur, it helps you attack and block and helps trigger enrage. Bellowing Aegosaur, an enraged creature that lets you just pump up your other creatures. Earthshaker Dreadmaw is a new card. It's a Dreadmaw, so you gotta love it, and it also draws you a bunch of cards in the dinosaur deck. Itali, one of the best dinosaurs. Regal Behemoth was actually errated to be a dinosaur, and it's good to note here that these cards are not going to be the exact same ones that you're going to be seeing in the Precon. The symbols are obviously quite wrong, and also the artworks can be different, but this one is updated to be a dinosaur and is a good source of ramp. Rampaging Brontodon, another great dinosaur. Thundering Spinebag, Dinosaur Lord, love to see it. Same thing with Verdant Sun's Avatar, can gain you a ton of life. Awakening Sun's Avatar, a dinosaur that is an asymmetrical board wipe, just keeps all your dinosaurs alive and kills your opponent's creatures. Zatalpa, you love to see a Zatalpa reprint. Zakama Primal Calamity, one of the best dinosaurs, period. And then we start moving to instants and sorceries, so we have Path to Exile, a staple removal, Farseek, staple ramp, Rampant Growth, Thunderherd Migration, Cultivate, all nice ramp, love to see it. Generous Gift, one of the best spot removals in the format. Savage Stomp, on theme removal for dinosaurs. Fiery Confluence is nice and flexible. It can trigger Enrage very well in this deck and remove opposing artifacts. Migration Path, Return of the Wild Speaker, great card draw. Rishkar's Expertise, I'm always surprised at how cheap it is these days, but again, also just great card draw. Then we move to the artifacts. We have Sol Ring, gotta love it. Arcane Signet, another staple. Lightcrafter's Bestiary, it's fine. You have better card draw, I think, these days, but it still gets the job done. Descendants Path works very well in a creature deck. It's just named dinosaurs and you're going to hit dinosaurs. Rhythm of the Wild is also just great in a dinosaur deck. You don't want to be countered on your 5-6 mana spells, and also giving them haste or riot is always nice too. And then we move to the lands. Archer of Vraska I don't like. Canopy Vista is pretty good. Cinderglade also pretty good. Clifftop Retreat is pretty good. Command Tower is pretty good. Evolving Wilds, don't like it. Overall the lands are kind of disappointing, but the rest of the cards have been very good. Exotic Orchard is good. Fortified Village, the Snarls are all okay, not very good in 3 color I would say. Jungle Shrine is fine. Keswick Wolfrine is good. The Bridge is good. Mirror Landscape is fine. Path of Ancestry is great. Rogue's Passage is great. Secluded Courtyard is also great in creature deck. Temple of the False God is actually very good, and it just gets better in green decks that have a lot of land ramp like this one. And then we have a bunch of lands I don't really care for. Terramorphic Expanse, the Thriving lands. They all enter the battlefield tapped essentially. Don't like them. And then the final land that isn't basics is Unclaimed Territory, which is just very good in a dinosaur deck. It enters the battlefield untapped and it mana fixes. And that's a deck list for Veloci-Ramp-Tor. Overall, I'm very impressed with this pre-constructed deck. I love the brand new cards that are exclusive to the deck. I really like a lot of the reprints. They actually really impressed me, like a Chroma's will. And overall, the deck looks like it has a lot of ramp, card draw, and interaction, which are all the things that I look forward to when analyzing a Precon. The only disappointing thing are the mana base, but it is serviceable. It still works absolutely fine. I just kind of wish we had more untapped lands that mana fix. So that's it for the dinosaur deck, but we have 3 more decks to go. We have a vampire deck, a merfolk deck, and a pirate deck to cover. I'm going to have a video for each one of those pre-constructed decks, so come back to the channel soon in the next couple days to check those out as well. So until then, friends, see ya!